Hey there, I'm Ryan. Thank you for tuning in. I'm gonna talk about some songs and probably get off topic.
Let's party. Let's party. Danny.
Party time.
Danny.
Excellent. Yo,
Excellent. Danny's World. Excellent.
Ryan.
Like that yellow shirt.
Oh, thank you. It's
Solid
a very
shirt.
old fireworks shirt.
It is. I have that on blue, I believe.
Well, that's even older.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh. I'm going to sell it on a hardcore auction on Facebook swap somewhere.
Is that the website address exactly?
I don't remember exactly. I do have a Hatebreed basketball jersey that I got at a hardcore flea market in Indianapolis, I want to say.
That's what's up.
Yeah, I don't really like Hatebreed. I mean, I'm not like making fun of Hatebreed. I don't like hardcore, so it's not really. More so what I mean is I don't listen to Hatebreed, although I've seen Hatebreed live quite a few times and had a fun time, I will say.
Didn't you record a Hatebreed album?
What did you say?
Weren't you on a Hatebreed album?
No, I was on a Terror album.
Oh, my mistake.
I was on a Terror album.
Because that makes even more sense.
Yeah. Well, Terror's cool too. I like watching Terror. I mean, I'm Warped Tour. You and I watch Terror a lot.
I love Terror.
Yeah. But I will be honest. Yeah, I listen to hardcore less than anybody that's probably ever been associated with hardcore in any way.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But Terror's awesome. I enjoy watching Terror. It was cool to get to be on a Terror album.
That's really cool.
Yeah, right. But today was Moonglow.
The quintessential mixtape song, if there ever was one.
Is it?
I think so.
Like, how come?
I mean, I'm going to salute the whole time the flag's here, so. Well, I mean, it's about a minute long, and then you have a really fast part. You break down into a really slow emo-y part, and it's everything mixtapes is. It's fun, it's fast, it's kind of sad, it's kind of exciting.
I think that was one of the first songs I wrote lyrically on Maps, and I think it makes sense because I dropped the whole fucking flag.
Flag's down.
Man down.
Get it out.
What are we even doing? So yeah, I wrote, that was one of the first songs I wrote lyrically for Maps, which means it was one of the first songs I wrote lyrically for mixtapes. And that was at a point where I was trying to figure out how I was writing. I had all these ideas. And that definitely, I think, does sum up, at least for what you said, like the most, like, here's exactly what I'm feeling without any sort of like a play on words or lyrics. Like, it's just like a journal entry with no chorus or anything. So I think it does, yeah, sum that up well.
I think a lot of your songs did that very well. You guys didn't write songs in like a song structure-y way, if that makes sense. It was very much like very conversational or journal entry.
Yeah. It's like my diary, man. It's like, Dear Diary, my teen angst has a body count. Wasn't that an album title, or am I
That
crazy?
was somebody's album.
That was an
I
album
don't
title,
remember
right?
who.
That was for sure an album title. Hold on, we're
It was
looking
like-
it up.
It was like The Used or something.
Dear Diary, my teen angst has a body count.
Come on.
Yeah, it's the first album from first to last. That's Skrillex right there, buddy.
Oh,
There you go. There he is. He's right there doing it. He's right there.
Multi-millionaire.
I would like to remake this album with Sonny Moore. I'm putting this offer out into the world, and we'll call it Dear Diary, My Teenager Has a Body Count album. And it will be a concept album about finding body count records in your kid's room and being like, my kid's pretty cool.
Someone make this happen.
Yeah,
Someone make this
that's
a reality.
Me and Sonny Moore will do it. I bet why not? He's probably a cool guy. He seems nice. I'd like to make
What
a
else
record
is
with
he
him.
doing?
I mean, he's making Skrillex music, I think.
I mean, he's
Still-
making a lot
still
of
doing
money.
that?
I'm sure
Yeah,
he has
he's
free
making
time.
more money than we are.
That's damn sure.
He probably makes more money in a day than you or I do, like in a whole year together, probably.
I'm pretty sure. He's doing very well.
We should get some of that. I want to make an album about body count with him.
Well, you have to
No.
make more teen angsty body count records.
Okay, I'm gonna work on it. Wasn't the I think the single off that album was called "Riding the Wings of Pestilence," if I
Why do
want to
you
say it right.
know this?
Why would
Why
I,
do you
right?
remember this?
That's why I do shows like this. Is I just want to get this. I just want to share this knowledge. Why do I know that? I don't know why I know that at all, to be honest with you. But right before this, I was watching the Gucci Mane and Jeezy battle.
Oh, I forgot that was
Uh,
happening.
Gucci started right off with a diss, actually, right there. It's weird. I was thinking about it, and I mean, listen, I have a Young Jeezy tattoo. There's no lie here. I'm gonna pick Young Jeezy out of the two. But to be
Easily.
fair, I do think Gucci Mane as a whole career is the more consistent rapper,
Really?
but only because I don't think I've really loved a Young Jeezy record in years of his new stuff. But the ones that I do love are so classic to me and better than anything Gucci Mane's ever done that I would pick Jeezy for sure, I think.
All right. I think that's a
And maybe
fair
because I think
point.
Gucci Mane's actually gotten better to me. And maybe a lot of people don't think that, but I actually like newer Gucci Mane.
I mean, I'm not a huge Gucci Mane guy. I am
Fair.
very
You're
much
more of a
Jeezy.
you're more of an OJ the Juice man.
I am.
Yeah,
It's true.
that's that guy for sure.
Yeah,
But
everybody
no,
knows it.
I mean, I would pick Jeezy for sure, of course. But I mean, Gucci Mane, he did his thing. He got in shape, got a six pack, got out of jail, cleaned himself up. You know, go Gucci.
Burr, Gucci.
Yeah, I think you covered it.
That's, I mean,
Do you have any questions for me on this fine eve?
so Moonglow. We have some internet questions I think we got. One of them was, why so emo?
Like the song title Moonglow?
I like the song title. Why is the middle of the song so emo? Because you come in hot and then you get kind of sad in the middle there, but then we go out real hot again.
Okay, well, the song title does, I guess, sound emo, but the song title Moonglow actually is just a city in Ultima Online, and that's literally where it's named from. So if anything, it's a lot more nerdy. Ultima Online is like one of the original MMO online games, and I don't think thousands of hours would be an exaggeration. I played a lot of Ultima Online in
Wow.
my day. There was back in the
Wow.
day, fresh out of high school, me, Justin, some other friends, we would like play that from like 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. and I would go to sleep like in the summer. So Moonglow was a town in that game. And I'm gonna tell you, Moonglow was a town in that game. Um, Trinsic was a town in that game, which there's a mixtape CP called
There's a
Somewhere
mixtape.
Intrinsic,
Yep.
which people
Yeah,
thought was
there
like
is.
some weird metaphor, I think. There's a town in that game called Buccaneers Den, which is an entire band that I used to do. I get a lot of inspiration from some Ultima towns back in the day. So while Moonglow does sound like it's supposed to be some like suburban emo night, like title, like the moonglow on the street light of the lamp in the car in
Sounds
the
like that.
suburbs,
Sounds like that Firefly song.
like by
You know that song, yeah. I don't know
by
what.
anyone
And
watching saying the name like duh. And I would be too if we weren't trying to think of it. It's a guy that had the very pretty voice
mm-hmm.
that sounded a lot like the guy from Reliant K.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll just leave it at that. We'll figure it out at some point, maybe.
You know exactly who it is.
I know exactly who it is.
Everybody watching this, even if they don't know who sang it, they know the Firefly song.
Yeah, for sure. It's like a song you hear at the grocery store.
Yep.
At this point, and not even a bad song. Not like a song that I
No,
like either. It's a song. It's there.
it's
It's out into
definitely
the world,
existing.
much like this song we're talking about, which sounds a lot like Fireflies. Why so emo? Moonglow, the song title's not. See, that's what's funny is honestly, like when I wrote that middle part, like I was going for more of a Weezer vibe. I get that it doesn't sound that way, but that more so comes back to because if you actually took the vocals out, it probably does. But then
Mm,
I just yelled over it because that's what I
yeah.
do sometimes. So I wasn't really trying to go for some like super like angsty part so much as it was just like a rocking part to me. But just because I yelled over it, I think it automatically probably made it that way.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my question, it's about a minute long. Do you write these songs short on purpose, or is this just like a preference? Like,
Yeah, it's on purpose. I think. Well, no. It's more so, yes, it's on purpose, as in I just don't like to add any stuff because to me, I always figured like once I get the idea of the song out, like we've talked about, like the lyrics,
mhm.
if I just am putting in extra music parts, like say I like have this song and I finish the lyrics, and then I get to like what I want out of it, and it's catchy. But I'm like, oh, this is only 45 seconds long, or a minute. I've always just been like, okay, I could write a really cool bridge, but then why wouldn't I just turn that really cool bridge into a really cool other song? And that's kind of just
Perfect.
how I always live my life. Such as like, I could just make a whole nother song out of this. Why make this song 3 minutes with like 12 parts when it doesn't need to be there to get the point across of what I'm trying to say?
I
So
mean,
it
me
was,
and you have always been on the same page where get that song in and out as quick as possible.
yeah, and again, it wasn't on purpose in the way that it had to be a rule. I think that would be corny.
Yeah.
Like if I sat down one day and wrote like an 8 minute song that for some reason I thought worked and needed to be 8 minutes, I would do it. I don't think that'll ever happen, but
That'd be
uh,
amazing.
yeah, but I don't think it would ever happen ever because I don't. But I would do it, so I wouldn't. It's not a rule, but yeah, I mean it's intentional in the way
Okay.
that I don't want to add fluff. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah,
Very good.
Did
All right.
I
We got
pass?
one more I mean, I find it acceptable. I think all songs should be under a minute long. Minute 20 at most.
Even White Houses by Vanessa Carlton?
Yeah. I think you can cut a lot of that out.
Mm, you might be right.
It's really good. It's really good. I just think, you can cut
What about
I'd be the best editor ever because no album would ever be more than 15, 20 minutes.
Hello by Lil Wayne? I don't know if you can fit all the good parts into a minute.
Like you said, there's so many different parts of that song. There's so many different songs happening on that song.
Fair enough. All right, what's the last
Jake,
one?
the last song, the last internet question we got. What was your day job while writing and making maps?
Yeah, when mixtape started, I was working at a venue that we played at a lot. It was called the Mad Hatter. We've talked about it, I think, on here for sure. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I guess it started off, I just worked the door there, and then I kind of just like kind of like helping out in a lot of ways. And there was just like kind of became a crew of people that just worked there, and their job was, to do everything kind of to a degree. Not in a bad, it was cool. I liked the job a lot. It was I mean, I had to watch a lot of bad bands, and it was funny because whenever I worked there, anytime I would talk to people like outside of like my immediate friends group, I would tell them, they'd be like, "That's so cool. It's so cool you get paid to watch music all the time." And I want to be like, that is the worst part of the job by far because it's not like I'm
Easily.
ever watching good music. Like I could literally, I worked there for 5 years, and I mean, and there were shows 6 nights a week. Sometimes I was working 7 nights a week. I worked pretty much whenever there was a show, and I worked from 5, 6 p.m. to like 2, 3 in the morning, and there was maybe in those 5 years like 5 or 6 shows like that I really liked. Like Dillinger 4 came once, that was awesome. Um,
How big was it? Like a big venue or
it's a
smaller?
500 cap venue.
Okay,
It was like, yeah, it was a good size venue.
good punk rock venue.
There were a few shows there that were definitely like crazy because it was that weird size where it could be too big or too small depending. Like I remember one day, this is right when they blew up, but I never heard of them. Like it was like right when they got big and got like the Apple commercial, whatever. But like that band Passion Pit. Like when we had booked the show, no one knew who they were. And then like, but that you book it months in advance. And I remember the owner calling me and being like, "Hey, can you come down here at like 2 or 3 p.m.? Like we already have a line around the block." And I was like,
What the
who's
fuck?
playing tonight? He's like, Passion Pit. And I was like, I don't even really know what that is. And then like there ended up being like 1,000 people there. We had to turn away hundreds of people. It was insane. Like those guys ended up being awesome actually. So not even gonna say anything bad. Like those are cool dudes. I just had no idea. And they were one of those bands
Just
that just
so
hit.
random, yeah.
Yeah. And like sometimes I went to Flowbots too. And it was funny because you
Oh
want to talk about a
yeah,
15 minutes of fame band. Is the
for
Flowbots
real.
again? We booked the Flowbots before the "I Can Ride My Bike with No Handlebars" song came out. So
Hmm.
we booked them just like whatever, like they have a little bit of hype. That song came out. So again,
Boom,
so many people showed up to that show for a 500
boom,
venue. But then it's funny because Small Time Crooks played with them like literally 4 or 5 months later, and like 100 people showed up.
and it was done. That was
Yeah, that
it.
was it. Like it was like, oh, this band's okay. Like they did their No Handlebars thing. That was that.
There was nothing else in the tank after No Handlebars.
No, and I remember their singer kept on giving like political speeches that were like super empty, like they were just vague things.
I
That's all I
love
remember. Yeah,
those are my favorite political speeches.
it was just stuff like, "You guys got to really stand up," and then like, "All right, this song's called," and you're like, "What? What are we standing up for?" All right, I guess I'll stand up.
Just in general.
Yeah, man, just stand up. Speaking of just in general, Life in General by MXPX turned 24 years old today. So if we're not old,
Holy crap!
yeah, that album's 24 years old. So congrats to that. It's one of my favorite records of all time. So
Great record.
love that record. B, that's 24 years old. So there's that.
I feel real old.
Yeah, for sure. We're there.
And those guys look great. Mike
Yeah,
looks amazing.
Mike's an attractive man.
Man,
A
he
nice
hasn't.
nice
I don't
guy.
think. I think he's looked the same since that album's came out.
Probably. I think he'll probably be on here in some later seasons for sure.
Awesome. He's a great guy. Super nice.
Very nice guy. MXPX definitely shaped my songwriting, so they're relevant in here because that was my youth. The Christian bookstore variety of bands definitely is and I will say I'm not one of those kids, like my parents let me listen to non-Christian music. Like I did grow up in the church to a degree, but I listened to everything. But like the Christian
But you do
bookstore
have a
at our
love of
church,
some of those, yeah.
but yeah, like the bookstore was like convenient, so I started finding some cool bands there, and it was easy. And a lot of great bands back in those days. I don't think Christian music has bands that I would be interested in anymore. I think it all went the ways of like contemporary music or like metalcore was
Yeah,
the
I think
vibe
it's
I
all
got, and
metalcore world now.
I'm good on that. I mean, good for those bands, but
Once Under Oath hit, that was it.
that was it. Everyone took out their lip rings and their bleach blonde hair and got swoops. Then they got a
love the
singer
swoops.
and a screamer.
You need both.
No matter what, you
can't
gotta have
just have
one of
one.
each. You gotta have one of each. You gotta have one of each. You gotta mix it up. Was that it? Were there more questions?
Yeah, that was all the questions that we had for this episode.
Okay, well, I think we're good then. In this episode, I talked to Eric Tuffendsam, who produced and engineered and co-produced and engineered every mixtapes album. So
Every single one, right?
every single one. We pretty much recorded almost everything with him, which we do get into. And Eric is, one of my favorite people. So it was fun.
Awesome.
All right, Danny. Well, I hope you have a wonderful night.
Thank you so much, Ryan. It was
Stay
great
sexy.
talking to you.
It was great talking to you.
You look very handsome in your polo.
I was just trying to impress. I was trying to, get the Manny Fresh style going on.
I feel it.
I appreciate that.
You gonna drop a hot freestyle on the way out?
Damn.
God dang it.
I'll talk to you soon.
Bye, buddy.
Bye.
I'm always ready.
Welcome, Eric Welcome, Eric Tuffendsam. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm good. I'm glad to be here.
Should we pretend that we didn't already do an intro, or should we just
Yeah, starting right now. Let's start pretending.
that we didn't mess up and have to restart? Okay.
Hey, well this is cool, man. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. I noticed that you're wearing the shirt with you on it.
Yes. Okay, let me tell you and everyone else. I don't know if you remember this, but I saw this shirt for sale online at some point. I had no idea it existed, and I said, "What the heck, Ryan? Give me one of those shirts." And it turned out you'd been selling it for like 2 years.
That makes sense. That checks out. That sounds like about us. Is that true? I didn't know that. I figured I would have told you.
At least a year. So I got the shirt, and I still wear it, and people look at me funny, and I just go. I go.
Fairly decent. It's fairly decent. It's because Eric will never really tell you. Well, let me back up here. Today's episode is Moonglow, and you're here because you are the engineer and co-producer of every mixtape record, and pretty much I think almost every song we ever recorded.
I think every song.
I think the only songs we didn't record with you were either like one or two acoustic songs we did on my laptop with just Moore and I, like for some like weird like comp or something. And then we did the song for Matt Medina's wedding 7-inch in Los Angeles because it had to be done there like on that day to get it turned into time. And that was a
descent about this because I wasn't involved.
That was I wish you were. What if you got up and like left the room?
Yeah, this is really angering me.
Matt did a 7-inch for his wedding, and it was cool. And he had bands on his label Animal Style do covers of like 4 important songs for him and Jess, his fiance at the time, and we recorded
Hey, your mic's cutting out unless something's wrong with me. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry about that. Anyways.
You were talking about Matt Medina's wedding.
Oh yeah, and we recorded the Descendants cover there for his wedding 7-inch. That's the only song I think we never recorded with you. So
Oh yeah, I've never heard it, so I'd love to.
it's
Maybe you'll do an episode about that song.
yeah, maybe, and then maybe I will invite you in just to hear it.
Yeah, for the first time ever.
It sounded really good. It sounded, it sounded good because it was not with you.
Yeah, for sure.
You and I have been
Wait, wait,
making.
wait. Let me. I gotta say this because um, when you talk about all these like everything we talk about today is it's going to be so confusing to some degree, the timeline, because last time you and I tried to figure it out, we figured out that you had done like 160 songs with me.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
so much music.
yeah, 160 songs I think, and that might have been forgetting some,
Right.
but we've made a lot of music, and mixtapes were a huge part of that for sure. And the reason I chose Moonglow is because I'm pretty sure, if memory serves me right, that was just the first song we recorded. And I remember, I remember with Maps. I mean, yeah, at that point, you and I have recorded together forever. Like, geez, you recorded. I think you recorded a band I was in called the Random Heroes, which I
I
actually talked
did.
about 2 episodes ago. And that was like, didn't you literally have an 8-track? I think like it wasn't even computers. I don't think.
I don't remember. Was that the one?
I
Who?
think you had an 8-track. Like you showed up at my house with an 8-track.
That was Random Heroes. Okay, that
Yeah.
sounded bad.
It
Like
wasn't. It didn't sound great, and we didn't play great. It wasn't anything. It was just. This
who
was.
was
I
the
mean,
singer at that point?
this was what 20 years ago, like 18 years ago.
At least that's what I was.
Yeah,
I was trying to think of when we first met, and at that point, that was one of the first recordings because I think you had heard the EP that my band Curb Squirrels did, and it sounded pretty good.
it did sound good.
And so I think what I did is I think I had a 4-track that I would record drums on, and then I would like import it into Pro Tools and mix it.
Yeah, that sounds about
I
right.
had just like a few microphones and stuff, and the drums sounded bad. I remember um, the vocals weren't the best. I
Well,
was like, I hope everyone forgets about this recording.
they did. No one knows about it.
That's great.
We I do like the full length album we made later. But that was not with you either. That was with a different person in Detroit. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, but no, we. I think at that time I was also, to be fair, trying to write songs that I had in my head, and I had no idea how to get them out. So I figured that out later in life. And at that point, it was almost like a jumbled mess. And we were writing about, man, I remember there was a song on that EP we did with you. The first thing, it was on that 8-track recording called Passions, and it was just about the soap opera Passions. Like we had no idea what we were doing. And
And
it was,
I'm pretty sure we did those 4 songs in like an afternoon or something,
we
which
did,
is fine.
yeah, that's no problem at all. But I mean, you've been recording forever. I mean, outside of mixtapes, you've recorded hundreds of bands. I mean, you've been in the movie Chicken Run.
That's not true.
You've didn't you have yeah, yes it is.
Chicken Little.
Chicken Little?
And I wasn't actually in the movie because it's an animation. So
Well,
I
no,
wasn't actually
not
in a
you as an actor. I'm saying your music has been in that film. It was in
It was in the trail. It was in one of the trailers.
it was in Harold and Kumar,
That's not true either.
wasn't it?
No, I played Harold and Kumar. No, the first three. So I'm looking knocked up. That's what you're thinking of, maybe.
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't movies.
Totally
This
different
is not a
movie.
movie. This is not a movie show. What is
Well,
that?
but nice try on this. But yeah, knocked up and Chicken Little, and then We Own the Night.
We Own the Night with Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah. So those were those three movie placements that we got like right out of the gate. Kind of started Jamie and I in just writing music for TV shows and movie trailers and stuff.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I mean, just throw another movie out, and you're probably wrong, but there's been a lot of stuff we've been
Well,
in.
the point being that you've gotten to do a lot of movie things, and it's kind of awesome because you get to have your own studio and just kind of come out there and do things. And you obviously make your own music, and you've recorded a lot of bands, some good,
Yeah.
some amazing, and then some just with me where we'll have an afternoon where we'll get together. And I remember we did a project called Billboards a couple years back, and Eric called me, and we said had like it was your idea, and we was like we're gonna go in in a couple days, and we're gonna record 10 songs and write them on the spot. And we did it. Was it in 2 days or
Yeah,
one?
it was
2 days.
2 days.
And we just it's always been a fun time. And you definitely get a good quality. And I think Maps is interesting because a lot of people do talk about the sound of it, especially at the time. I think it was a little bit different. I don't really know if it was on purpose. Um, I'm positive on Maps it was not on purpose. Actually,
I
I
don't
don't
know if
even need.
any of it's ever been on purpose.
Maybe I think as it went on, I think, and we'll get to that later, obviously, in different conversations. I think we had more of at least like a focus, for better or worse. I mean, I think for better, but who knows? I think Maps was kind of. It's funny because like in movies or like biographies, I love reading or like watching about bands. People always talk about like that first album we didn't know, and then after that, like there was expectations or this and that. You have more time. It's definitely true, not in the way that there were expectations. It's not like we were like famous or doing anything big or like this or that. I think just self expectations and then having more time in the studio and getting to like take it more seriously and focused. I think Maps lacks that, which is cool. And I think it gave it a sound that was different as we're like, we had never even heard those songs with drums until the night before we came into the studio with you.
Yeah,
Um,
but I think you're a little bit underselling the fact that you write so many songs and we record so fast oftentimes that it just comes out as it comes out. And I think that's like part of the thing that made mixtapes sound the way that you guys did. Like I never had like a particular artistic vision going into any mixtapes record.
no,
You know what I mean? And
that's
like
true. Our artistic visions weren't as detailed as probably a lot of artists. Like you and I would just talk, and then the band and you and I would talk, and we would just be like, "Man, like Weezer Pinkerton's cool. Let's just kind of like make the drums sound like that." And that was like the extent or deepness that we would get to.
right,
We'd be like, "That super chunk guitar pedal is like really cool. It's like let's make it sound like that."
I
But
mean
that was
we made rules at times to like challenge ourselves. So it's not like we were totally throwing crap against the wall, but I remember we would say like, "Hey, let's just keep first takes of everything unless there's like a major mistake."
yeah, for sure. And then I mean
It's like we
maps.
would
I
be like,
remember.
"That's fine, leave that." And that was actually one of the things that made the songs and the recording so good is that we would just let sloppy stuff through all the time because
Definitely.
as we layered the guitar parts and the bass and the drums and everything, there was just so much character to it that it felt more like a real band than like. So I mean, I always wanted it to sound natural, and so I would always be like, "Look, I want you guys to sound how you sound."
For
So I
sure.
tried to like step out of the way, but then at the same time, we would just be like, "Hey, if anyone in this room has an idea, you're gonna get behind the microphone and try it."
Oh yeah, that was definitely it. We never cared. We wanted everyone to sing, everyone to play every instrument. Like if someone had an idea, please, you know what I mean? And that was the fun of it. I think though, any layering or anything that we did, I don't think we ever layered our songs in a way to overcompensate or try to do anything or make it not sound natural. I think if we did anything, it was more to either do something that we thought was like ridiculous or silly or just like build like a certain type of mood for it, I guess, you know what I mean? But I don't think we ever were like, yeah, we need to double this vocal just to like do this or that. Cause like it's not like if you listen to mixtapes, like I'm pretending I can sing. Like it has a certain sound to it. We're not trying to gloss it like that, I don't think. I think we just always like to like if we can put in a 4-part guitar harmony here, like we're gonna do that. And I think some of that gets understated. I think there's a lot of that fun stuff in there, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
there's just like little things. As I listen back through all the mixtape stuff, I'm just like, man, how do we think of that?
There's some weird stuff in there for sure. And not saying we were like reinventing the wheel. They were definitely simple songs, but I think the recording was fun. We always would try, like with Maps especially. I remember so Tim came down from Detroit, and he recorded the drums for that album in half of a day or 3/4 of a day, and had to drive right back to go on that Saves the Day tour. So then like we had the drum parts, and that was it. I remember like so we were like, all right, these are the drum parts, and thank God he put down really good drum parts, and you got a really good sound of them. I
Yeah.
remember I remember we were floored with the drums on that record when we finished it before we even started anything else on Maps. They
Well, I
just
I specifically remember asking Tim like, how did you tune those toms? And he told me, "Oh, I just tuned them one to one. So like the top and the bottom were tuned exactly the same." And I said, Like over all these years of me trying to get drum tones, that's like against the rules. Kind of, you're supposed to like have the top head a little bit higher than the bottom, or at least that's what I thought at the time.
Right.
So I started doing that ever since then, and
Yeah,
like I
that's
don't do it all
cool.
the time, but I was just like, Tim, what did you do to make my drums? I mean, that was my drum set.
Yeah, they were your drum set. Like, he didn't have drums. I mean, he did, but they were gonna go on tour. It was just like, it was one of those things that like we were like, if we're gonna make this record, this is the day. This is like the 3 to 4 day period it has to happen. Tim has like 3/4 of a day, and if we don't do it on that time, we won't be able to do it for months. So we just all worked it out, and yeah, like the drums turned out incredible. They still like I put it on the other day getting ready for this, and like the drums sound great on that record. They're thick, like they're a big drum sound, and I think that made it different than a lot of like popular type punk. Between that and I think a lot of the piano stuff as well, which I
Yeah,
think.
I don't know, man. You're one of the weirdest people I've ever met, and I love you for it. Like you, I mean, I had so much fun working with you guys, and I feel like a lot of like you would come with a song in your head, the song's done basically. Is the way I always assumed. Like
Right,
Ryan has this song done in his head, you know.
right.
You would just like put in a guitar part, and half the time it was like you would just like noodle on the guitar for a second, and it's like that's cool.
Pretty
Move
much,
on to
yeah.
the next part. And I would laugh. I would laugh all the time because I was like I never knew when you were serious or joking, but it always sounded good. Even when you were just like goofing around on guitar.
I
Um,
like to toe the line between you never really know if that's going to be a serious part or not. No, yeah, definitely. I like the spontaneous of it. A lot of times I would like Maps was a record when we started like playing shows and touring because especially that wasn't really a plan when we recorded it at all. You know what I mean? I didn't know if we'd ever play a show. Like it was like I want to play a show. I had to relearn guitar parts and stuff because like I just yeah, you and I would freestyle something. I would record it, and then if it sounded good, we just kept it.
yeah,
And
well,
then
I don't want to jump ahead if we're supposed to not talk about it yet or anything, but on Moonglow, I was listening to that lead part that you did, and it was exactly one of those parts. It was like it's the same exact part, just just like whatever it's doing, and then it just repeats. And I'm just
yeah, that makes sense. No, that's
it's like
true.
it's kind of like it's the comedy almost. It's like it totally reminds me of the way that Weezer does, write songs.
I think it's just having fun with it, where it's like, yeah, like I like silly guitar solos and pretending like I'm shredding when I know that I'm not really shredding. Like I don't know
That's
how. I'm not a real musician. Like I don't claim to be. I can write songs. I can play guitar,
you're
but I
you're
can't.
better you're better than you give yourself credit for. I mean, you can play pretty much anything and you do stuff like first take all the time. But it is really funny because I don't know like if you either know that you're that good or if you just I don't know. So I found this video on YouTube once of you. I don't know how I came across it, but it was called Shredding. It was just it was so funny. I was like showing all my friends dying laughing because it was just you like all serious, just like
Oh,
shredding.
do you know? You don't know about that video? The
No.
story of that video is what makes that video. Is when mixtapes were. This is further on, but I don't know if this story would come up in another season, anyways. So it's fine. On one of those message boards, it was like one of like the punk message boards. Um, I'd gotten into it with like one of the people that ran it. And I mean, of course I did. And looking honestly, I don't even remember why. And probably it was my fault because at the time I was not sober. I was during maps, so this is a different time. But by that point, I was not sober. I was probably a miserable dick. But either way, I'm sure talking shit and being stupid, and we got into it. But then like it was funny because of course I just kept going back and forth with them. And at some point, he just said something about like mixtapes doesn't really even have any musical talent, like you guys, blah blah blah. And I was just like, so I made that video as a joke.
Can you play it on here real quick? Like, is there any way to screen
Yeah,
share?
I can definitely play it.
And I'll
Yeah.
tell a quick story
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
while you're pulling that up. So, not to get too weird, but we talked right around 2 o'clock and today, and then I was just like waiting for an email link for this, and I checked my email, and at 2 o'clock I saw an email, but it wasn't you, and it was from Sweetwater, and it says podcast equipment, everything you need to get started.
Really?
That happens so often. But you know how you're like talking about something, and then like right after that, you get an email about it.
I
Anyways,
do. Yeah, it's called the Illuminati, man.
I know the
Oh,
Illuminati. invented the internet. Are you
Man,
finding it or not?
I'm trying to find it right now.
Well, it's called shredding with probably with an exclamation, or no, with like an apostrophe.
I'm trying to find it right now, man. I can't find it.
Okay, well the story was good even without it, but
I
it was.
can't find it. Well,
It
what
was
it is it's just me. Um, it's just me like shredding a guitar, playing like really basic, like stupid blues solos and things like that. Like it's just stuff like that. And I posted it because we were going back and forth, and then he was like saying mixtapes wasn't that good or whatever. So it's just me literally looking all serious with my guitar like in my bedroom. I'm just like I can here actually I don't need to show you the video. Just picture. It was like me looking really serious, being like stuff like that, but it was
I know.
electric and plugged in.
And you do that,
And
and whenever you have a guitar in your hand, you just play these insane. Like every time it's a different riff. It's like your
And-
stupid little songs get caught in my head every time. Even the stupid thing you sent me this morning, I was like, I showed Owen, my son, and he was like, "What is that?" And I don't remember what.
It was about how I'm literally
That race car driver.
Mario Andretti.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally, I'm Mario Andretti.
We can play that for the people.
Oh, there's my timer of when we were supposed to get on the.
Here's the song I sent to Eric this morning. There's a video too, but I mean.
I'm literally Mario Andretti. I'm literally Mario Andretti.
I mean, it's true. I mean, you are him, but but I
Um,
was like, I watched it once, and then like 10 minutes later, that song was in my head.
Katie always gets mad because
bothered
she
me
she
so
hears more than anybody. I make them up walking around the house all day and night, and they'll
Yeah.
get stuck in Katie's head, and she gets so annoyed. She gets so annoyed with me because she'll just be singing, especially because that one that I made that I sent to you and a few people, where I actually made a guitar part that was like, "I satiate the sky when that incandescent light." That one, she
Right.
was singing it for weeks,
I know.
and she was getting mad. She was getting mad for
So
sure.
that's one of the things about you that it's not like I don't. Not many people are this way, but no matter what comes out of your brain, that's why I said you're weird because you're so creative. Like any song that you sit down and play is gonna be catchy, no matter. Like
I'm like
first
a
try.
toy. I'm a
Yeah,
wind-up toy.
you are, and that's why when we did that Billboards album, we literally were Mario Andretti, but we also um, we sat down, you and I, and we had Austin here, who was like mixing the songs and tracking,
Yeah,
the engineer, and we would have the lyrics and the song done within like 5 minutes, and then
we just record it.
some of these songs were like a lot of them are like 2.5, 3 minute long songs.
It is
And the
true.
production's not bad. And
Yeah,
we
no, that record for what it is funny, and people watching this should look it up. It's on Spotify and Apple Music. It's
it's really
Billboard's
yeah.
top 10,
The
and
album
it's
is top 10.
yeah.
The band is called Billboards, and we were trolling to see who would accidentally find that and think that they were listening. And so
And yeah, what we did is we picked the top 10 songs at the time in the country that were just the top biggest songs in the world. We picked the top biggest songs in the world like that week. We looked them up because we knew that was the plans. We were going to record the album in 2 days, and we were going to basically, as soon as Eric had it mixed and mastered, he was sending it to be on Spotify and iTunes. So that would be at the worst, maybe a week turnaround time. So we took the 10 biggest songs in the world at the time, and we didn't listen to any of them. I don't think you'd heard any of them, maybe one, because you don't
maybe
pay attention to
one,
anything. I don't
but
pay attention to much. Eric pays attention to way less than I do. I'd heard maybe 2 or 3 of them. But so we picked the 10 biggest songs in the world just by titles, and we just decided what we thought they would sound like based on the titles, and then wrote our own song, recorded it in 2 days, and then put it up on Spotify. And what's funny is just because of those titles, it's gotten enough plays that we've gotten checks, like not a bunch of money, but we've gotten money off of it, which is
yeah, I
amazing.
mean, we made our. It was worth our time.
Yeah, it was worth our time. Like we've
We made
gotten
$1 million
checks, and
worth
like
of time
the
with it.
songs. I mean, people should go look it up. It's funny, and there's some funny stuff in there. But we just wrote these songs, and then it's just because it was fun. But yeah, and going back to the shredding, so what I did is just because be whatever, I was like posted the shredding video. So I responded with that video in the thread. And I was just like, oh, you don't think we're talented. I was like, I've been playing guitar for like 15 years or something like that. And a lot of people, including him, I think, thought I was serious. And it
That's
was
the best.
awesome.
Yeah.
And like, so it was just a funny thing. That's where that shredding video comes from.
Yeah. I mean,
And
you and I are got to be careful not to like constantly troll people.
yeah, and
Because
I just like to, especially because, a lot of those times, like I was probably in the wrong. Like I have to look back and check myself, or at
that
least
video was not in the wrong.
no, 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 no. But I'm just talking about the situations, like my attitude at the time. That video was great. I'm not talking about that. I just mean, but yes, I do like because I just have a sarcastic attitude where it's like, if anything, it's just at myself. But I think it's just, you know what I mean. I think you're the same way. Like if anything, it's mostly self-deprecating, but I just like looking at other things and being silly. I
Right.
can't help it. It's in my nature,
Yeah.
and I think and maps, I think it comes through on the lyrics in there because I think there's a lot of quirkiness to it, which I've talked about definitely with some other people throughout here. And I think there was almost like an honesty to it, which I like because it is a sad record in a lot of ways. And like it was about, my dad passing and all this stuff, but I think we made it have this quirky vibe to where I don't think there's anything new about putting sad lyrics over happy sounding music. I mean, that's not even in pop punk is that new, much less in the world. You know what I mean? That's definitely an old thing. But I think we just found a way to do it, or at least hopefully mix it with something like a different type of energy. And I think we succeeded with that. And I think you helped a lot with that. I think the guitar tones, the bass tones, for how fast we recorded it, it was like a pretty cool sounding record at the time.
Yeah. Well, there was a few other things that I noticed because I'm like I always have to get outside of like the pop structures and like sometimes I'm like it's just for me it's like there's like these rules where things sound good. And so for me, it forces me like your music has forced me out of my own like comfortable like sort of boring structure and things. So I listened to that song and I'm like at the time I don't remember if we talked about it, but there's just no chorus.
No, there's
And I was,
that.
I was wondering like how many of your the song's like a minute something long.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and I
It's
was just I don't at the time I was like when these songs started getting big I was like it's so weird like the song's a minute long. There's no chorus, and it's like it didn't matter. It caught on,
I
and
think a lot
it
of
was
our
different
songs, I
maybe.
think a lot of our songs, and I'm sure that's something I'll get into other times, but I think a lot of our songs, yeah, I don't like that repeating hook idea all the time. I think it gets tiresome. I think you can make music catchy without just, doing that. Like, I think there's a difference between repetition and catchy.
Well, here's another thing that I would suppose. You tell me if I'm wrong, but a lot of times,
You're
like
wrong for sure.
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm done. So
I'll talk
okay,
to you
what
later.
else do you want to talk to? Okay, cool.
Well,
Um, a lot of times people like songwriters, especially when you're thinking like pop punk. No offense, you pop punkers, but a lot of times you write a song that sounds cool and the lyrics are kind of secondary like okay what can I say here and how can I well we've already got the verses written so what do we just repeat the chorus again and
right,
so
yeah.
the chorus is kind of just like a thing that sounds cool
Yeah,
and
definitely.
it fills space but for you it was like you were probably writing too many lyrics all the time and you're like how do I cut these lyrics so I
I
can fit them
think
all in the song it's like
that was
you were saying so much you were like you're basically just verbally processing your life through these lyrics. So to have a chorus, you're like, well, that's just gonna like waste a space for me to use more words.
you're 100% right. I like that. That's a cool observation because you're right. Is I think that is a thing where it comes into play of not really being a real musician. It worked to my advantage in a lot of ways. Is that you're right. I wasn't thinking about chorus, bridge, or structure. Like lyrics always came first to me. I was getting my ideas out, and then from there, it's how do I fit them into something that I want to be catchy. And clearly, obviously, mixtape. It's like it's pop music. Like it is catchy, and I love that. I like pop music, and I think a lot of people don't get that. Not they don't get it. I just think like it's something that I should clarify. Like I said, you can make catchy poppy music. I just don't like repetition in music, and that's why the songs are short as well. I liked the idea of a short burst of like pop chaotic energy and I still like that, even in like music I make now, like even like hip hop stuff or new songs I'm writing on guitar. Like I like shorter songs typically. Not always. I don't want to make that a rule either. You know what I mean? I don't want to be one of those people that's like, if an idea that's 4 minutes long is a good idea, that's fine. I mean, we'll talk about it later, obviously, but Mount Hope was a song that was about 4 minutes long and still didn't have a repeating chorus. So
Right.
if that just happens to come out that way, great. But
Well,
typically, I don't feel like it does.
that's what I meant earlier when I was talking about how you would just like have these ideas come out and we would just put it down as it came out.
Yeah.
It was like there wasn't a need. I guess you pressed me on this because, but there wasn't like this vision of how this song needed to sit in this particular way to like be appealing to other people. It was almost like you didn't seem to care who liked the music in the beginning, and I don't know that that necessarily changed a ton. Like you
No,
wanted
it
to
did.
like
I don't
be
think it
proud of
did.
it. But here's what I here. So here's what. How many times did you have to convince me like no, it'll be cool, it'll sound good? Because I would be like, well, I mean, this part is just in there one time for 5 seconds, and you're like, no, no, trust me, it'll be good. And so eventually, like, I learned from you to like just step back and like let the songs kind of like write themselves almost, or like to I don't know. It
I
was it.
think I need that. I thrive off that, like the last minute thing. I think figuring it out almost. And I mean, yeah, a lot of times, a lot of the songs, got written almost in the studio. I mean, there was never a point like we were a band that like set up as a full band in your studio and literally wrote songs from scratch, really. I mean, kind of, I guess sometimes. Like if we had an idea, but that was a cool thing. If we had an idea, like that did happen sometimes, is like we never set up as a full band in your studio with the intention of writing a new song for a record or anything. We never did anything like that, but we would have ideas where we'd be like, all right, someone get a drum set, someone get this, and like it was cool to be able to do that. I don't think a lot of bands have that luxury. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just feel like we had a different type of relation. I mean, not relationship. I think just the vibe of it. It worked.
It was very loose, and that's why
It was
like
very loose.
recording with you guys was just like it felt like I was going to like an amusement park or something that
Well,
day. It was
mixtapes, and I
so
think in
fun.
general, my vision or what I think is like it's a weird balance of like not taking it seriously at all. So it was very fun, but also taking the songs deeply seriously. But
Yeah.
to me, like it was always just about getting the songs out. And I think that probably clouded my vision in the future in a lot of ways to my own detriment, is that I had tunnel vision almost of I was just working through this process of getting things out of my head and trying to figure things out, and everyone was seeing that and like dealing with it, but it was like almost a tunnel vision. But it also I think is cool for the recordings. I think looking back at our body of work, it's actually exciting, but it's definitely was yeah, the songs were just the focus, like nothing else really I felt like I took seriously.
Well, here's another observation, and I've probably told you this before, and I feel like you don't take me seriously when I say this. But like every single time you've ever come to the studio, you show up with like two or three more songs than what you planned in the beginning. And I'm like, Ryan, calm down. But somehow we still get them all done. So I'm pretty sure you would say, hey, we want to record for a week, in a couple weeks. I'm like, okay, cool. You guys are in the schedule. And you're like, yeah, we just want to do 6 songs this time. You show up with like 15 songs. Like, it'll be okay.
Uh,
Like, okay, we're gonna fly through this anyways. And then like Boone would do like one take on the drum. He'd be done in like 5 minutes. I mean, like everybody just flew through. And then when you were doing your guitars, like I said, it was just like it was just there. And by the way, if people don't know this, and they probably do, but Ryan doesn't use a pick on his guitar.
I'm
Like,
sure it'll get brought up multiple times in
but the thing is you do it well, just like Matt Thiessen from Reliant K. Like it sounds good, and your palms
this.
sound clear and tight. And I'm just like, how do you even do that? But I mean, you probably out of all the stuff we've ever done, including the billboards thing, like you're probably 80% or so first take done on all your guitar parts.
As long as it's not vocals, yeah. If I'm playing guitar or
Because
bass, I'll
vocals
knock it
is
out.
like takes forever, but
Yeah, vocals vocals is a whole other story. But
you
guitar,
like getting
bass
the guitar
parts,
in your
they're
heart.
done. Yeah, I get them instantly. Yeah, I think, and that actually reminds me, and I think you're right. This is actually cool. Is interesting to me is maps. I think you're right. Is remember how
You
we had
remember?
we had 3 songs recorded acoustically that ended up being the 3 songs on the album that were acoustic. and it's a 10-song record. And I believe the whole record was supposed to be acoustic, and then we were going to try to figure something else out. And then we already had the 3 songs recorded, which I think were Orange Yellow, Sunsets, and If We Both Fail. And then that's when Tim ended up coming into play. So we got to do the full band thing. So it was just kind of crazy that record that Moore and I were barely practiced on in the first place. Never was supposed to have a real drummer. We had a drummer the night before we recorded. Then we came and you and I and Tim and Moore recorded Maps in 4 days, like maybe 5. I don't know. We get these 10 songs. And it's kind of funny because it turned out pretty cool for that. So you did an A-OK job, my friend.
Yeah, it was super easy because the music just sounded how it sounded. So for me, it was like, I don't know, it was just super easy to kind of I just got out of the way, and I made it sound good, but I didn't have to like try to take the guitar tone into this new area. Like, well, let's make it sound more like this band or that band. It was just like,
Our experimenting was always just more fun. We just would like, what harmonies can we add or what we can do to make it sound different. Um, I mean, at some points we'll get into later, we used helicopters and remote control helicopters on songs. We got real. What's the stupid band called?
I don't know.
Radiohead.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we went crazy during that album where we were just like spending an hour just like playing with remote control helicopters while I was hitting record. Like
Living the
while I was
rock
being
star life.
recording, and you and I were just flying helicopters.
Sometimes
You
you
were
have to
just
do
done
that.
with Dems and bought a helicopter, like or whatever, and we were just like, I don't know. It was so much fun.
Yeah, I can tell you the remote control helicopter technology of about 10 years ago was not great. They broke all very fast.
Yeah, we were
A
just
lot of
like
breaking.
hitting each other with them.
I was gonna say here's where the magic happened, but you're not in your studio right now that we recorded in because it's a different place now.
Well,
R.I.P.
hold on. We're in the same address, but I wondered when you'd catch on to what's behind me, like all this stuff, because it doesn't look much like a studio right now, does it?
No, I mean I noticed the whole time. I just didn't say anything. You are in your studio right now.
Yeah. So we're. I don't have any sessions for a couple more weeks. Like something happened earlier this year. I don't know exactly what it was, but people just like quit wanting to be in small closed rooms with other people. I don't know.
It was
It was
a
like,
Jurassic Park Velociraptor outbreak.
oh yeah, something like that. But anyways, so the studio has been a little slow, under the weather, so to speak.
Yeah.
But so I bought another like house to do Airbnb with. So this is kind of my storage room for the next week.
Oh yeah, because you've been doing your real estate stuff,
Yeah, it's
killing
been
the game, killing the game.
killing it. But the studio was really busy right up until COVID, and then um I had to cancel everything, and then like it's kind of slowly coming back. But I've been doing so much with real estate that I'm just like I just gotta like now I have houses I have to like finish and actually get done to like survive. So I had to pivot in order to make enough money to like pay my bills and feed my family.
Hey,
So, but it's been cool, and I think next year when things get back to normal, I think there's gonna be a lot of good recording stuff going
there will
on.
be. We're gonna record a lot of good stuff.
Oh,
We're
I
gonna make
know.
a second Billboards album too.
Yeah.
I will say, and then I remember what I will say finishing up is on Maps. I remember when we finished it though, it was funny because I remember we were listening to it, me, you, and Mora, and we were just like happy because we were just like, but we were surprised almost. You know what I mean? Because we were just like, this like sounds pretty good. Like, sounds like a real record. I think. Like we were just like, because we had no idea. Like that was definitely the least I'd ever had any idea of what a record was gonna sound like. Like I usually do have the songs in my head and things like that. The way it happened and just so last minute and like learning them the night before with drums and coming to the studio and doing it so fast. I remember we finished the record and we were just like, this sounds pretty cool. Hopefully, you know, maybe we're not
Yeah.
crazy. And
Hey, let me steal maybe a question that you were gonna ask me and ask you the same thing. When
okay.
did we meet? Like, do you remember the first time you and I met at all?
No, but it would have been in the days of just like local bands playing back in the day.
So I bet you it was probably around 2000 or like 2001 or 2, somewhere in that range.
It would have been 2000 at least because I definitely met you when I was still in high school.
and I had just graduated in 2000. So I think I was, yeah, because I was hanging out in like Mount Healthy, and I was doing Curb Squirrels. So we were playing like at Billy Wallace's house.
Curb Squirrels, for everybody watching, just so you know, so we're not getting too local, was a punk band that Eric wrote all the songs and sang in. And they did get signed to a label and put out a split, and we're a very good band.
Then we split as a band.
Darren, that used to be in Less Than Jake, signed you guys, I believe, didn't he?
Yeah, he was the saxophone player,
Yeah,
like on the first couple albums, and then he was in Gun Mall.
yeah.
So yeah, he was one of the label owners. So we recorded down in Gainesville with them, and at the place, well, we practiced where Hot Water Music practiced, and we used all their equipment and stuff, and then we
That's so
recorded.
funny to me too, because like compared to what you guys sounded like, it's so funny to think about you guys practicing on Hot Water Music stuff in Gainesville with this guy that's like with Gun Mall and all these like no idea bands. Is hilarious to me
Yeah.
because you guys were just like a good band, but it was like tooth and nail-ish almost. Like I don't know what to compare it to.
I mean, it's pretty incomparable to anything.
It was
I
just like
mean,
skate punk type stuff, but it
it's
was
kind of
just
like technical pop punk, I guess
yeah.
you could say.
But
Um,
yeah,
anyways, so we were in this band and we would play. Do you remember the? I mean, am I allowed to use people's names? Because I already said Billy Wallace. We can make it anonymous and just say BW or B Wallace.
yeah, that's fine. I don't
You
think
don't
Billy would
understand
care.
what I'm talking about? No, he wouldn't
I'm
care.
sure Billy will be on here at some point.
Oh, good. So he had this back room in their house that was basically like a miniature concert
The
venue.
Office.
The office. I thought it was like I don't know. It was like
It,
a guest
it was
house,
called, yeah, it was called The Office. Yeah,
and there was a stage in there.
yeah,
And so, I mean, did we ever play with you? I know we played at Skunkerifics with Verbal Dynamite.
yeah. We did Verbal Dynamite back in the day. Yeah, we did. That's where we met. Was those days when I was doing Random Heroes and like starting like and Verbal Dynamite. So you and I have known each other about 20 years, and you've been recording bands since right around then. That's when you were starting, wasn't it?
Yep, because I started going to school in 2000 to Raymond Walters for eMedia, and I bought my Pro Tools system. So I must have recorded you before that because I didn't have the Pro Tools stuff yet. So I had to have recorded Random Heroes in 2000 or earlier, I guess. I
Yeah,
don't
it
know.
was like it was an 8 track. I remember.
It couldn't have been earlier than 2000 because I don't believe I was still in high school at the
Okay, that
time.
makes sense. So yeah,
But
there it
but
is.
2000.
And
So yeah,
then
we've been friends for 20 years. That's crazy, man.
fast forward 10 years into that, and we made Maps, which Maps we made 11 years ago. Think about that.
No,
We made Maps 11 years ago.
I'm not
So
even gonna think about that.
yeah, yeah.
Well, what about the
So
first record? What's the first recording that we did together that actually sounded really good? Was that Black Tie Bombers?
it would have been, yeah, which is a good one. I think Black Tie Bombers was the band that, and I'll tell you, the record with you, and this is a good story. It's a good quick one. Is that was another good part of my songwriting is because I remember at that point I realized that I wanted to write more personal songs, kind of towards the end of Black Tie Bombers, to what became the Cookies. I realized that I wanted to do something different, and I will say that the drummer of Black Tie Bombers at the time had this idea, and we were going in, and that band at the time, we were called Black Tie Bombers. We signed to a label of a guy named Jared, out of Florida, who actually does like a true crime podcast now. It's doing very well, and he interviews serial killers, so it's awesome. You should check it out. It's called Criminal Perspective.
Huh.
That's my guy, and he signed us to a label that was under Eulogy, and we were about to go on tour with the Queers, and we just played some shows with like Ramallah, and we were just like a very fast, aggressive, melodic punk rock band, I guess. And we knew we wanted to do something a little different. And I remember this was like a weird, funny thing, but we made a record with you called Eternal Happiness and Good Health, which is still on Spotify and iTunes as well. And it's actually still a good record. Like I think that's a cool record, and I'm not because I'm a part of it. Like it holds
It
up.
is
Like that is
pretty
a
cool.
great punk rock record. And I only had a little bit to do with it. That was a band where everyone sang, everyone played everything. So it's a cool record with a lot of different voices. And also John from the Dopamines also sang and played guitar on that. I played bass and sang. And I remember when we went in to do that record, we were a band that like cussed a lot, like a lot of curse words in our music, like fuck was in every song, Black Tie Bombers, and like that's fine. I don't. There's a time and a place for that. Obviously, like mixtapes uses curse words too sometimes, but that album we did with you really was cool. So I remember we talked beforehand, and we were like, let's not say one offensive word on this album. Let's really try to like make these songs like about something, because our songs were about something before that, but they're all just very aggressive and like I think felt juvenile to us. You know what I mean? So like we're just like
Yeah.
just like being like vulgar this and that. So if you listen to Eternal Happiness and Good Health for the type of music it is, like there's not one bad word on that record. Like there's
Are you
nothing.
serious?
Yeah,
Is
there's
that-
nothing. There's not a single offensive thing on that record. Like it's definitely. I don't believe. Like I'm pretty sure because I remember going into it.
I
And
don't remember that, but I do know of one offensive thing on that record where we like ripped off an MXPX song or something.
da na 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 na.
That was so
That
funny.
yeah, we did. But no, that
I
was
wonder
a
if
cool record
Mike
because
Garrett knows that you did that. Like, would he care?
I think I told him. No, I think I told him.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
great. Like that was another one where we just had so much fun.
It was. That was a fun. And people should. That's called Eternal Happiness and Good Health, and it's on by Black Tie Bombers. And that record, and with you, that was a great sounding record. It still sounds good, I think, for being. I mean, that's got to be 15 years old at this point. I don't know, like 14,
Yeah.
15,
Yeah,
and
let's see. I was just married a couple years before, so yeah, 15.
it
Like,
still sounds good. And
14,
it
15.
that record didn't have any bad words, and it really like made me focus on songwriting. So that was a big record for me, going into mixtapes and the cookies and figuring out what I wanted to do. But that
Do you
yeah,
remember? I think I just had a memory of that. Well, I don't know. You and I could talk forever about a ton of different things. I
oh,
don't know.
we're gonna have a lot more conversations, so we have
But
plenty.
there was one spot where you were struggling with a certain line, and I punched in one syllable for your voice.
I do remember that.
Just
Yes, I
because
do.
it was so stupid that it like kind of worked. Like we
You
kept
couldn't tell. It worked.
There's
Yeah, I'm
so
not the
many
best
little
singer.
things
I don't
that-
know if people know this. I'm not the best singer.
It was like literally like a word like away, and it was like the "wah" was me or something. It was some
Yeah.
stupid little like syllable.
Oh, that makes me
I
happy.
sang it like you. Like, away. Like I try to like make my voice scratchy.
Black Tie Bombers, I definitely sang a lot more grittier than I did in mixtapes. It still sounds like me for sure, but
Yeah,
a little
no,
bit.
that's good. I think that's an awesome album.
I think it's a good album too. People should listen to it. And other than that, I think that's a good start. I think Moonglow, like I said, I wanted to lead off with when I talked to you because it was the first song we did on the album, and it was the first mixtape song that I think ever got put down to tape. So Maps was obviously you were a huge part of it. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks for coming to me for all these years, and
I like
always
I
had a
like
good time.
I like giving you money so you can produce sounds.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not about the money. I mean, except for I mean, you definitely have to pay me still to do it.
Right.
But
but
we're friends.
no, thank you so much. I'm sure we will be talking a lot more throughout this, and I appreciate you. And I hope that you wear that shirt the rest of the day.
I probably will wear it at least for the rest of the couple minutes.
All right. Well, you have a good day. I'll talk to you later.
All right, man. See you soon.
Bye.
Hey, my name's Eric Tuffendsam. Ryan asked me to record a cover of Moonglow, the song we were talking about on the podcast. I told him I just got done getting fillings in my mouth, so half my mouth is numb. This will be fun. We'll see what happens. You know that I'll be singing when the morning comes, 'cause every time I fall asleep, I wake up alone and my voice is dying. I can barely say a word, so I just drive away. And I'd like to try to find a way, to take this all away with me. Holding, I'm not giving in. And I used to try to find the answers, but I know now that I don't really care. Hey, I'm just cool with anything. We could get away. I don't need to get away today. The phone hasn't rang at all.
you for tuning in. I'm gonna talk about some songs and probably get off topic.